In this tutorial we're going to demonstrate how to write an MBS specification. All of the MBS specifications tend to follow the same format regardless of product. So if you can write an MBS spec for one floor finish, you can generally write it for all of them, and the same applies to the walls finishes as well. For the purpose of this demonstration we will be using a scenario of a commercial kitchen, so we will be writing an MBS specification for Stronghold 30. Before we move on though with the specification, we need to ask the customer various questions. We need to know whether it's a new build or existing building. We need to know if it's the substrate type. We need to know whether it's self-coved at the junction with the floors and walls, and what the floor finish is and the wall finish is. In addition to this, we also need to have a project name. Once we've gathered all of this information, we can then go ahead and create a specification. In order to do this, we need to go to the digital library and go to UK Library, click on UK Library, go to Specification Documents, click there, and because we're writing a safety flooring spec for Stronghold 30, we need to go to ASF MBS Specifications and click there. This will bring up a list of all of the ASF specification templates. We need to look down the list for Stronghold 30 and open the Stronghold 30 document. Once we've opened the document, we need to copy and paste the clauses into a new Word document, which will be our working document to create the specification. Once we've copied and pasted it into a new Word document, we can close the MBS specification that we downloaded from the digital library. We then use the new Word document as our working document. As we proceed with the specification, we will delete out all the clauses that aren't relevant to our particular specification. If there is any additional information you wish to add to your specification, you're free to do this as free type on either the title page or in any of the paragraphs if you feel there's any additional information that needs to be added specific to that particular specification. So starting with the title page, we know the location is a kitchen, so we'd enter that into the title page, and we'd ask the client, and for the purpose of this specification it's a sand and cement screed for the base, so we enter that. And then I tend to move on through the specification and come back to populate the front page once I've completed the specification. So moving on through the specification, we have a number of paragraphs, some of which tend to stay in all specifications, some of which are specific to particular scenarios. So some paragraphs would stay in all, some would be deleted. So paragraph 210 is for workmanship generally. This would stay in all specifications because it would be applicable to any scenario. Paragraph 220 also stays in all specifications because again it would be applicable to pretty much any scenario. Paragraph 230, control samples, are where we've been asked to complete a test area before proceeding with the works. This is quite rare, so normally this paragraph would be deleted. So I'll take it out for the purpose of this exercise. Paragraph 250, agreeing setting out the layout before ordering materials, that would always stay in. And paragraph 251 refers to seams and cross seams. The sentence saying cross seams will not be permitted, I normally delete out, as this is a very high standard that would probably only be used in areas of extreme hygiene. So I just delete that one sentence, but leave the rest of the clause in. So it says that seams are should be kept to a minimum. Paragraph 252, layout. This refers to if you had a pattern in the floor. So in this case of our commercial kitchen we haven't, so we'll take this paragraph out. Paragraph 270, provide 5% extra material. I always leave this one in because it's always good to provide additional material to the client after handover, so that any damage can be patch repaired at a later date. Paragraph 310 would always remain in, as would paragraph 320, referring to storage of the materials. Paragraph 330 would always stay in, because it's important that the materials aren't laid until the building is weathertight. Paragraph 340 would always stay in, and paragraph 350 would always stay in. Moving on to paragraph 360, this refers to underfloor heating. So important to establish when asking the questions at the beginning whether there's any underfloor heating present. For the purpose of this exercise, in the commercial kitchen there isn't, so this paragraph can be taken out. This now brings us on to preparing bases. We mentioned at the beginning that this was a new build project, so suitability of new bases, paragraph 410, would stay in. Suitability of existing bases, this could stay in even if it was a new build, if there were some areas of existing bases adjoining. But for the purposes of this exercise, we're assuming it's a total new build and only new bases, so 420 can come out. As it is a new build, it's highly likely that the new bases will still have high levels of subfloor moisture, so it's important to keep paragraph 30 in, which refers to substrate moisture. 440 would stay in, as this is the paragraph that refers to the requirements in terms of subfloor finish, and this brings us on to paragraph 462A, which would stay in, which is recommending the use of Ardex Arditex smoothing compound. We mentioned before that we're keeping paragraph 430 in because it's likely to have high levels of subfloor moisture still, being a new build and new wet bases, so for that reason we would keep 531A in, which is the paragraphs referring to surface damp-proof membranes, which would be necessary with a wet subfloor. Paragraph 560 is for plywood underlays, which we haven't got in this case because it's a new sand cement screed, so 560 can be deleted. This brings us on to laying coverings. Paragraph 620 would stay in because this refers to using only products from the same batch in areas to prevent there being differences in batch colours, so that would always stay in. Paragraph 640 would always stay in as it refers to general adhesive fixing. Paragraph 641 always stays in, which refers to outro adhesive fixing. Paragraph 670 is if we have got borders or feature strips in the material. In this case it's a commercial kitchen, we haven't got any borders or feature strips, so this can be deleted. Paragraph 671 refers to butterfly corners. Butterfly corners are a different way of forming the mitered corners in the room. In this case we are using conventional mitered corners, so 671 can be taken out. Paragraph 680A refers to seam welding, and this would always stay in. Paragraph 720 would stay in, as it refers to making joints on the centre line of door leaves unless otherwise specified. Paragraph 731A for sealant would always remain in. This is for the outromastic sealant around any exposed open edges of the floor, around pipework or any door architraves, etc. Paragraph 740 would stay in. This refers to any cover strips that might be needed around any exposed edges. Paragraph 741A is referring to edging to a specific type. It could be to carpet or to quarry tiles. If we did have a junction with carpet or quarry tiles, we would free type that in where the line is there and keep that paragraph in. In this scenario though, we haven't got any junctions with carpet or quarry tiles, so we will delete 741A out. 741B is edging to existing gullies. We use this paragraph if it was a refurb and we had existing gullies that we then had to install the flooring up to. Here we would use the gully angle GA25/35. But for this scenario we've got a new build, so we are going to have new gullies fitted, new clamping ring gullies and clamping drain gullies, so we can take 741B out. As we just discussed, with it being a new build, we're going to have new clamping ring gullies. So 742 would stay in. With this scenario, we've assumed that there's white rock on the walls. So moving forward onto the skirting paragraphs, the first paragraph, 771A, refers to skirting general. This would refer to a self-cove skirting going to a plastered painted finish. As we've decided we're going to have white rock on the walls, this paragraph can be deleted out. This brings us on to paragraph 771B, which is self-cove skirting to white rock. So looking at this paragraph, 771B, self-coved skirting to white rock, I tend to change the top edge detail here where it says overlap by 50mm. What I do is I take that part out and I copy and paste the concealed overlap detail information from the walls paragraphs and paste it into there, so that we have the concealed overlap detail, which is a much neater detail for a commercial kitchen. Then I need to take out that ask for relevant drawing, and I need to put that in down there and take out drawing WF8. That way we've then amended this paragraph so that we have the concealed overlap detail G83525, which is the junction detail which we most commonly specify these days, as not only is it a really neat dust-free junction, it is also a differentiator for us from the competition. Paragraph 773A, junctions between self-coved skirtings and door frames and architraves, that would remain in, and paragraph 780A would also remain in. This now brings us on to the completion paragraphs. Paragraph 810 would remain in the specification always. 821A would always stay in the specification. When it comes to paragraphs 861 and 861A, I normally tend to take these out of the specification unless we've been asked specifically by the customer for slip testing to be carried out. That brings us to paragraph 870 and 880 that both remain in. So that's actually the body of the specification completely written now. It's just a case now of going back and populating the front page. So looking at the front page, the next line we need to populate are preparation clauses. So if we scroll down and look under preparation, we can see we have clauses still in our specification of 410 through to 531A. So we'd need to put on the cover page 410 to 531A. Next line is fabricated underlay. We haven't got any underlay in this case, so we can take out as clause and just put NA for not applicable. Okay, so then moving down, everything else is populated right the way down to colour to be confirmed. If we know the colour, then we would type that in there along with the colour code reference from the price list. It's always good to have that in there if we can, as again it makes it harder for anybody to switch our spec if a specific colour is specified in the specification. So if we know the colour, always populate that. Then moving down, we see that the adhesive has already been populated as Ultrafix 19 Plus because it's the only adhesive we would use in a commercial kitchen. And then coming further down, you can see we need to populate accessories. So scrolling down again, If we look at accessories, you'll see we have sealant, outro mastic, cover strips, drains, and accessories within the coving section. So accessories would be 731A to 771B. So we just need to populate that on the front page. So 731A to 771B. Then skirting, again if we look down in the paragraphs you'll see that we chose paragraph 771B, which is skirting to White Rock. So we need to put that into that clause there, 771B. And then finally we need to put in the maintenance and finishing clauses, and if we look down again to the bottom you will see that those are clauses 810 to 880. So going back to the cover page, we would go 810 to 880. And apart from a project title, which you could enter in at the top here in the center, we'll call this Letchworth Kitchen. So once we've done that, the spec is complete. So what we would then do is save that specification and the job is done. That brings us to the end of this tutorial. The same format would apply to all other specifications when writing specifications for other floor or wall finishes. Thanks for listening.